Welcome to this first episode of Personal Selling Weekly, where we will address a simple topic. And the topic is stop selling, start to help, and why that's really important. And I know it can sound a little contradicting, asking a salesperson or a person interested in selling to not sell. And for me, it's based on this idea that I have never, and I repeat this, never met a person who liked being sold. And almost anyone I know loved to buy. So why set yourself and your organization up to create experiences that nobody wants? Because I believe that the experience you're creating with and for your customers day in and day out will leave an imprint, will leave them with the actual brand they have in their mind when they think about you. So again, that's why we say, okay, if you want to really create good buying experience for your customers, maybe you should start about thinking about how can we actually help our customers get what they truly want and need, rather than trying to show up with the mindset of today I want to sell this and this and this and this. So I think that that's really what we would like to talk to you about today. How can you make that shift for you and for your sales team? So what happens when you stop selling and you start to try to help? I think what actually happens is that you will find meetings with very different energy. Because when you go in and you try to sell something, you automatically create resistance in the conversation. And it becomes much more like a ping pong back and forth rather than a smooth interaction and conversation. And when customers realize that you're not there to sell anything, you're there because you truly want to see if there is the potential for you to help them, they relax, they open up. And from there, you can start to actually have a value creating conversation with that potential customer. So you could ask yourself, so why do people hate being sold to, and why do they like to buy? I think it's because, again, when you get this experience that somebody wants to sell to you, it's all about them and nothing about you. And again, I think that's the main reason why people hate being sold, because they have this feeling that, wow, today here I'm in this shop or I'm in this meeting because that person, that other person, the salesperson, want me to help him get his numbers. And that's not really appealing to anyone. But when you have the experience of this being shifted so that now the meeting is really about helping you get what you want. Oh, wow, what's not to like about it? And I think that's why it creates a very different meeting when you stop trying to sell and you start to actually start with the focus of how can I help you? What is it that you really want and need? And let's see if we, with our product, our solution, could be of value to you. And when the discussion is framed and designed like this, you cannot not create a better environment, better discussion, and better experience for the customer. And I think that's the main reason. A few years back, I heard a story about a really, really talented car salesperson. And I would like to share that story with you because I think it was really, at least it gave me some inspiration. And it was this phenomenal good car salesperson that was selling not just one or two cars more than his colleagues, but significantly more. And there was this person interviewing the car salesperson and said, wow, what is it that you do so differently? And then he said, when I started out in this business many years back, I asked myself a very different question than my colleagues. My colleagues, they were asking themselves the question when they saw a new potential customer entering the shop, how can I sell this person a car today? I asked myself a different question in my mind. And that was basically, with this customer, how can I make sure that they buy their next car from me? And I know those two mental self-talks almost sound identically, but it opens up for two very different conversation and interactions. And as he said, the first few months, he was not that successful. But then it started to shift. Because again, his customers had this experience of not being sold, but actually being helped. And after a few years, people came back to buy the next car from him and the next car, and they brought their friends. So suddenly he was not just seeing the success from selling one car to one person, but he was getting lifelong customers who really had this experience that when they went to him and had a discussion with him around cars, they were not being forced, they were not being pressured into doing anything. They were basically being helped so that they could get the car they wanted. I think that was one of the reasons why, after many years, he was so successful, because he built up this massive number of customers that came back and back. And of course, selling a car the first time is maybe not as easy as the next time and the next time, because when you have developed that kind of relationship, the transaction just become more and more easy. I think that was one of the reasons why he was so successful. So the next question is really, how do the satisfaction selling actually help us promote, stop selling, and start helping? And I think the basic structure in the model and the idea we work from is helping you as the professional to think in 3-4 different steps. First, mentally, how can you prepare yourself, set you up so that there's nothing you need right now, where you can be relaxed and open and curious. Then we remind you that, wow, let's start out by understanding what the other person wants and needs. And when and only when you truly understand that, now you can know, does it make sense to present any solution for this person? Yes or no? So we want the salespeople to own the no here. So if there's not a fit between what the person wants and needs and what you can do, then don't present anything. Just say thank you, but no thanks. But in the case where you can actually present something that match what they want and need, now the customer will end up feeling helped, because they're not only having a feeling, they have had the experience that you were first truly interested in them and what they wanted, and then what you presented was actually something that matched what they were asking for. And this makes a huge difference, because imagine that a customer come into your shop or into your business, and you have 10 things you could potentially sell, and they're interested in maybe solution 6 and 9, and you start out doing your pitch with number 1, number 2, number 3, number 4. How long time do you think the customer will stay focused and interested in what you're saying? My guess is that when you arrive at point 5, you have lost them. And when you finally get to point 6, which is having their interest, they're no longer listening. They're basically having the discussion with themselves. How can I get out of here? Because this is not for me. So what we are teaching people by using the satisfaction selling method is that instead of telling your pitch the way you have trained to tell it, start out by listening and understanding so that you can present what actually makes sense for the customer. And I think that's a big thing. It sounds simple because it is. So do I have an example where this shift have actually helped one of our customers to create a better result? And I'll say yes. There's one example that comes to mind. It was an international company we worked with a few years back, where the person from China, he said, wow, I like the ideas, I like what you're saying. But, in China, this doesn't really work. Because the professors he was selling to in the universities, he claimed, didn't have time to have a conversation with him. They just wanted him to come in and present what he could do for them so that they could make up their mind and move on. And then one day he was in this very significant project with a big potential customer out there, and they got stuck. The project didn't move, and he was getting to the point of desperation. So in that case, he finally decided, okay, maybe I should try the satisfaction selling method. So he went out, had a meeting with this professor, And then he sat down and basically asked him some of the questions we teach our students to ask. And to his surprise, the professor started to actually interact and talk with him. I think basically because professors are also humans. And when they meet somebody who is actually interested in what they want and need, they start to share information. And based on what the professor said, suddenly he was able to reopen the whole project, and it actually led to huge success and to the professor buying their laser system much faster than he had anticipated it would ever happen. So I think that was a big and a great example of how shifting your approach from wanting to sell to actually helping someone created all the difference. So what can you do right now to check your mindset so that you can be able to go out and do this? And I would say that it all starts with you. So again, if you truly believe that you need the customer more than they need you, you set yourself up for failing. So there's a big shift which needs to happen in your mind before you talk to anyone, is to introduce the idea, the deep belief that the customer needs you as much as you need them, so that you can meet them eye to eye and just have a conversation with them. A conversation where you're curious about what they want and need. Because if you meet them there, they will also be more curious about what you have to offer. And suddenly, it's no longer a sales conversation. It will become a buying conversation. So it's again here, this sounds simple because it is, but that's not easy. Because I understand that a lot of salespeople have been brought up to believe that they really need every customer to be successful. But this is really where we have to stop and start to think in a different way if you want different results. I hope this week's ideas have resonated with you, maybe even provoked you a little. And I would love to see you again next week. But also, again, if you had some value from looking at this, then, like the video, maybe even subscribe so that you will get a notification for the next week's ideas as well. And again, when you have been out playing with this, please come back and share comments so that other people can see what you have gotten from this week's tips. So see you back next week. Have a great day and some really, I think, interesting meetings with your customers.